All right, welcome to a special double edition of the Summer Blockbuster Review Series. I am your host, Harry, the Mind of Cube Ezel, and always I have with me Richard, Optimist 123 Brown. Richard, go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Hello, everybody. How's the world doing today?
All right, and today we are reviewing two movies. We have first up Antman, and secondly we have Pixel. So, Richard, let's go ahead and start off with Antman.
Are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure you want to do that? I'm just saying, let's start off on a bad note.
Okay, so let's go ahead and let's start off with Pixel.
Let's go ahead. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Oh God.
All right, Richard. So
yeah. All right. Here's the
remember,
thing.
you wanted to go see this.
I know, man, and I'm so sorry for doing this to you because it's like the movie had so much promise. Like, how do you literally take a nostalgia property that's directed by the guy who did Home Alone 1 and 2 and completely fail? Like, it failed on all levels. Like, there's nothing. Like, when I walked out of this movie, I was like, that is like 2 hours of my life I am not going to get back. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's like I just want to get it over with and just be like, look, if you were donating your money to Adam Sandler, just stop doing it. Just stop. Like, I just don't. No, there's nothing. The only thing I can say is, like, you know, the CG is cool, and there you go.
Okay, so what I liked about Pixel was how they said that video games back in 1982 had patterns, and now video games, it doesn't care, just complete the objective. Yeah, I'm done. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there is nothing that you can talk about positive. Like, I mean, you could say that the premise is great, but even then, it's like, okay, you have like all of these additional properties. Like, you have all, like, you know, like your Galaga, you have Pac-Man, you got Donkey Kong. I mean, you have these properties that show up, and you're like, okay, great. But how do you destroy it? Like, how do you destroy what these things are actually meant to be in a movie? And there's two words that I can say that do that. That's Adam Sandler. Like, I don't know. I really, at this point, it's almost like you want to boycott his movies because they're going to be terrible. And you know they're going to be terrible. In this movie, I said, you know what? The last thing I actually liked that he put out was Click. That was the last, because it actually had it was a redeeming concept to it. And that was the last thing I've watched with him where I actually was like, okay, you know, you got something here. Pixels, I mean, to spoil the movie, honestly, is like, that's not even doing it justice. Like, talking about it to me just makes me seem like, so yeah, no.
The only thing you could really spoil in this movie is that the Eddie kid turned out to be a cheater. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, but
you make Kevin James president.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's stuff like that, man. It's like you just it's literally like, you know, when I looked at the cast and I looked at the credits and look at all these things, I'm like, okay, it might have something here. Like, it just might. Like you wanted it to be good, but it's worse than I even thought how bad it could be. So, yeah.
I didn't even get any one-liners out of this movie.
No, there's nothing in it. Nothing. Like, nothing.
Like you said, the CGI was great, but after that, you made a donation to the Sadler Fund.
Right. So that's it.
Can we move on to Ant-Man, please?
Yeah, let's go ahead and rate it. F5.
F, damn. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it failed. Like, it's
F5.
Yeah, it just failed. It failed. So yeah, I'm good. Yeah, we can call it Ant-Man now. So yeah,
all right.
My chest.
So Ant-Man, I thoroughly enjoyed Ant-Man.
Okay,
I felt as though that Ant-Man was the type of movie that gives you the bridge. It was the bridge that the first Captain America movie should have been, because you can definitely see where this movie is leading towards the Civil War, leading towards an Ant-Man sequel, leading towards another Avengers movie. I thoroughly enjoyed Ant-Man. It had everything that I wanted it to have in a movie. It had your comic relief, which well, let's pause here for a second. And I love Spider-Man. I really do. Like, out of my top 3 superheroes, it goes Spider-Man, Batman, Wolverine. Okay. And I just wanted one Spider-Man movie to be witty and have his quick whips in the movie. That's what Ant-Man had. So I was thinking, yes. I'm really not a huge Ant-Man fan. I can't tell you, is he like that in the comic books? Yay or nay, I don't know. But this movie had its one-liners in there that are pretty damn funny. Secondly, the story. Great story. I was wondering how they were going to change it from being Hank Pym as being Ant-Man to whoever Paul Rudd was playing.
Scott Lang.
Scott, thank you. They explained that very well. So, and I do appreciate that they did say that, yes, the original Ant-Man was Hank Pym. They even threw in Wasp in the movie, which I thought was great. They changed to what happened to Wasp a little bit different than what happened in the comic books, but we'll talk about that later because of the way times are now. You can't tell what really happened to Wasp and whatnot. But right. And going on with Ant-Man, the acting, it's a superhero movie, so you're not looking for Oscar-worthy performances, but the acting wasn't something that you're like, oh my gosh, buddy, what are you doing? Take at least one class. Right. So this movie delivered on all levels. Probably one of the better movies I've seen this year. Your thoughts, Richard?
You know what? I'm going to have to agree with you. Like, it's kind of here's the way I feel about Ant-Man. Ant-Man was honestly, like, you're right. The best way to describe it is this movie. If Marvel does their next phase of movies this same way, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to blossom into something awesome. Because, like, for example, you know how like phase 1 and pretty much phase 2, it was like you have your solo movie, then another solo movie, then another solo movie, and then everybody's together. And then you break them all out and do their own individual thing and then bring them back together. Like, you don't have like, you didn't really have like another Marvel character show up in the other movies. It's just kind of like they're all isolated events. Well, this movie actually is the one where it it acknowledges the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole, but it also, Ant-Man's kind of isolated in the sense of the thing I like best about Ant-Man is like the whole world was not going to die if Ant-Man was unsuccessful.
Can I pause you for a second? I hate to interrupt. That's what I really liked about this movie, because he even said in the movie, shouldn't you call the Avengers for something like this? And I was thinking, wow, that makes totally sense. So that's why I really do appreciate, like, the whole world isn't going to come to a screaming halt if Ant-Man doesn't succeed.
Right.
But continue on.
Yeah, I mean, and that I think is the core element, because it's like after a while you just kind of hate to see like every time a Marvel movie comes out, it's going to be, oh well, the entire world's gonna blow up because this one dude. It's like if you have a world of supervillains, I mean, yeah, he could wreak havoc. He doesn't have to destroy the planet, and I think that's kind of what was endearing about this film, is that it acknowledges the lore, the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole, but it kind of just throws itself in like it's like a little piece of a puzzle. It's like, you pretty much know exactly what the end all be all result's going to be, but like this little corner, it's like Ant-Man's the corner piece that kind of like, oh, okay, well, it completes the picture a little bit better. The changes in the way, because Hank Pym is technically the Ant-Man, but they actually did really good in explaining how, like you said, how Scott Lang kind of just steps over in the role. He kind of just fills that gap, and it's like it made sense to do it that way versus just trying to shoehorn Hank Pym in there because of reasons. It's like, I think with this phase, Marvel understands where they need to go with the properties, and they also need to know that, hey, we don't have to make it where we don't have to make it where Ant-Man's the isolated incident, and then we can have other side characters show up, which is what they did very well. As far as my expectations for this movie, I'm not gonna lie to you, because remember when we were talking about it, we were always like, yeah, it's gonna be not gonna be a bad movie. It's just that I don't know if it's gonna be a good one. And it exceeded all of my expectations. And to be honest with you, out of the Marvel movies, I'd have to say it's in my top 5. And the reason why I'd say that is because it delivers on everything it's supposed to, but it has its own charm. Like, it doesn't feel like it's a rehash of another of another Marvel property. Like the closest thing I would equate it to maybe would be like the first Iron Man movie, but it's got the world building concept in it that the other solo movies really don't address. Because even if you think about it, even if you go back to Winter Soldier, you know, it's like it's changing the world, but there are other characters that kind of could, you know, pop in and out that could have, but they didn't. And the same thing with but that's the thing with this movie is that there are characters that show up that pop in and out that are made reference to in other movies. So it makes the Ant-Man film, while it's more intimate as far as what it's trying to accomplish, it seems bigger because it actually has those other pieces that are in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So,
great points. Great points.
So I loved it. I mean, I loved it.
So bringing on the spoiler alert now with this Ant-Man movie, I really like how he had the battle with the Falcon in the movie.
Yeah, that was cool.
You kind of know that pretty soon here Ant-Man is going to join the Avengers. So how are they going to make that connection between how he got recruited by the Avengers and why he joined, or why the Avengers even wanted him? And of course, if you've seen the movie, you know Falcon is looking for him. And the way they explained it with that montage, even though it was the second time they did it in the movie, I still found it pretty funny.
Right.
Shout out to Michael Pena for actually surviving in the movie. You know, I'm getting kind of tired of seeing him show up in movies like, oh, how is he going to die this time? That's exactly what I thought when I saw him.
You're right. I mean, think about that.
You know, so shout out to Michael Pena for surviving in this movie. You know, even though he played a cliche character, he did bring some humor to the screen. Another good point that I liked in the movie was how they explained Wasp and why she's not around and how she's actually going to come back around. And so here comes a little comic book spoiler. I know this from from the Avengers comic books, is that Hank Pym actually beats the Wasp, pretty much slaps her around, and she just decides to quit the team. And so, you know, in today's society, you really can't say that a man beats a woman and she just decides to leave. It's not gonna happen. So, you know, saying that she played around with a regulator and just kept on shrieking until non-existence kind of sits well with society these days. So, you know, I respect that. And then to make his daughter become the new Wasp, I was like, okay, yeah, that works. That works for me. I accept that. And another great scene in the movie, I thought, when they were actually fighting with him and the don't tell me, the Wasp, when he was not the Wasp, Yellow Hornet, Yellow Jacket. When he was fighting Yellow Jacket, I thought that was pretty cool because they kept on doing the transition from large to big, big to large pretty flawlessly. Like, you was kind of, I won't say hard to tell where the CGI was and where the CGI ended, but they did it very nice. You know, they spent some money. They did like Jurassic Park 1992 version type money on the computer graphics for this.
You know what? And since you said that, the color palette of this movie was, I think, a little bit different from some of the other Marvel movies. Like, there was a little more color, especially in those fight sequences, because it went for more. There was a slightly stylized difference in how it was presented compared to how like the powers of other superheroes are. This one was a little bit different, and I kind of like that. I mean, now it was probably done for budget reasons, why they had to kind of stylize it a little bit, but it worked. Like, it never, like, you know, you wonder how, you know, this dude's special power literally is the fact that he just shrinks and increases size, and that is it. Like, there's nothing else that he does. And somehow they made it cool. Like, it's not like Iron Man's suit. Like, Iron Man's suit's awesome just because it is, you know. And, you know, Captain America, his piece of tech is like the shield, which, I mean, it defies all properties of physics, but I want one. But Ant-Man's power, I want shield as well. Yeah, you know, but Ant-Man's power is just literally gone from big to small and retaining, I guess, the properties of the same, you know, I guess, strength level and whatnot. Like, it's cool that that's all possible. So, I mean, it's not like it's something I want to have, but it's like, it's cool to see it. Like, it was a neat little trick throughout the whole movie.
So let's go ahead and talk about our ranking for this movie, since we already gave Pixel the double F. So this movie, I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it an A. I'm going to give it an A because I think this one you should experience on the big screen. It is a lot better to actually watch it on the big screen than it is at home. You know, even though you could have the 7.2 surround sound, the large 80-inch screen, just something about going to the theater to see a great action movie on the big screen that just is riveting. So this one I'm going to give a solid A.
Let me think. It's like I want to give it an A, but for some reason I just can't. And I hate to say it that way. I'm gonna give it a B plus. I really enjoyed it. I don't think it, and it's like but it's like I enjoyed it, and I would love to see it. But a movie that gets an A for me is something I would want to buy, and I'm not sure if I really want to own it. It's not something I would like. Let's say and repeat viewings that I'd appreciate it anymore. You know, if it comes out, and I'm not gonna lie to you, see, I'm a steelbook collector now, so it's like if it comes out as a steelbook, then I'm like, hey, you know, I'm gonna go buy that. Like Age of Ultron has a steelbook at Best Buy. I am going to buy that, you know. But you know, it's like there are things about that movie I really, really enjoyed, and I thought it was awesome. But there were, I don't know, it's just for me that it wasn't leaps and bounds ahead for me. So I mean, I think it's a really solid movie. Definitely recommend seeing it. So I'm just gonna give it a B plus.
Okay, cool deal. Much respect to that. So now we're kind of a crunch time when it comes down to what movies we're going to review next.
Yeah,
because I really wanted to go see Southpaw.
Yeah, you know what? And that's what's sad, man. Because like, I wish I would have seen that instead. You know, but you know, we all make mistakes in life, and that's just kind of how it works.
You know, I'm not doubting you. I'm just going to say that when I was walking towards the theater and I saw that Southpaw was opening too, I was like, huh.
Yeah.
I could have been going to go watch Southpaw. That's all I'm going to say. So,
yeah.
But next weekend, it's definitely going to be Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna try to see Southpaw. I'm gonna try to see Southpaw this week.
Okay, so we'll put that on the books.
Tentative. Put that. I am gonna see Mission Impossible, but like I said, I'm in the process of moving right now, so that's kind of taking precedence. So, but all that other stuff, but I should have. But as far as being set up and doing everything I need to do, it shouldn't be a problem by the time I get up there.
All right, so our viewers out there, and shout out to our people viewing the show. I mean, y'all have been viewing it, but you don't give us too many questions, so feel free to submit some questions. We love to talk to y'all. But next week, it's definitely going to be Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. Tentatively, we might be doing Southpaw. I'm going to go definitely try to see it. I know Richard's going to try to go see it, so stay tuned. Also, we got coming up The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
When does that come out?
I want to say it's the first week in August. I know there's a lot of great movies that I want to see coming out, and I want to pause here for a second. And you know, part of the movie going experience is the trailers. I like to get there early, watch the trailers, so I know what's coming out. And I'm sitting there for Pixel, and I was sitting there watching the trailers, going, "Why are they making sequels to Hotel Transylvania?"
Yeah,
you know, like what? Why are they making another Chipmunk movie? Like, who is watching these movies? And then you're like, well, you know, kids love those movies. I'm like, shut up. You're here on a free ticket. Be quiet. Don't ruin it.
Yeah, no, they don't. Kids don't love these movies.
He said, no, they don't.
Nah,
kids, it's a 2-hour babysitter.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Parents love the movies because it's like you said, it's a 2-hour babysitting movie. And they don't have to, like, think about it. Alvin and the Chipmunks, right? You don't have to, like, for example, you're not going to like invest in like, you know, THX digital sound, some sound mixing equipment, new textures for the Chipmunks' faces. Like, you're not going to worry about that. You can probably do the same like animation models that you used back in like 2005, and then like it's still the same ones to this day. They might have like increased the number of hair follicles on the face. That's about it. But I mean, I'm getting sick and tired. It's like you just get tired of seeing it's like you look at these trailers and like, well, I guess that was kind of the thing for me. The hope with Pixels is that it was a somewhat original idea. I know it's a short story that came out before that, which is what it's based on. But you just kind of hope that, hey, this is something new. It's something different. You want to give it a shot. And when you got things like this happen, you're like, oh, well, yeah, now I'm just going to stick with – and this is why people stick with the franchises that they know and love, because I'm really wondering like what's going to happen. That's why I'm bouncing around with this idea, but like what happens when the Marvel Cinematic Universe is over? Because at some point, you know, after Thanos, distorts all the realms of reality, like what's next? Like what goes beyond that? Like what's the next thing? I mean, honestly, we all know that they could basically reboot the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the Infinity Gauntlet. Like we know that could actually be a real possibility if you know anything about the Infinity Stones. So I mean, but it's just kind of like I would like to see something new. Like I mean, even though don't get me wrong, I love Pacific Rim, but you got Pacific Rim 2 coming out. Like I like to see like properties like that, like some new blood kind of just start to show up. Right now we're just getting the same thing over and over and over again. It's getting tiring. Like you just want to see something new.
I'm totally agree with you. And so we got I'm sorry, Mission Impossible Road Nation from Uncle. Speaking of reboots, Fantastic Four, which the more I watch that, I'm just thinking, I don't know why I'm going to waste my time with this, but probably
you never know. Like they're going. I know.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But let's be honest. You got Michael B. Jordan, the guy that played Miles in what's the name of the movie in Whiplash. You got the girl who got, I don't want to spoil House of Cards for anybody in case they see, but you have, Kevin Spacey's, mistress. Like you have these people, like all these people are actually accomplished except for the guy playing the Thing. Like
and you have Tom Hanks' son playing the Thing's son.
That is right. Okay. So it's possible that this could be good, but like I don't know. Like here's the thing is that the reason why I'm saying I'm like cap worried about it is because Fox is really, really driving home that it's the studio that brought you X-Men Days of Future Past. They're also the studio that brought us X-Men 3 in the first Wolverine. So I mean, you can't like you're basing it like you can't play that card.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can't play that card like that. I mean, it's like, okay, it took y'all had to basically evaporate
6 movies.
You had to evaporate your entire continuity, and you made one good movie. You're like, hey, guess what? Everything, but then you saw the pictures of Apocalypse, and now you're like, well, y'all are really about to fail again. It's coming.
Speaking of those pictures of Apocalypse, shout out to our mutual friend Nick Lewis for posting that wonderful picture to Twitter.
Yeah,
it was hilarious.
I mean, he really does look like Ivan Ooze. Like one song, I said, "Oh man," like I don't get how. But sometimes you just wonder. Like it happened in that property. It happened in Transformers because Optimus Prime. Even though I like the design in the first the first 3 movies, I like that design. I just don't care for the flames. I just don't. I don't get it. It's just. Why are there
evil King Arthur Prime? I don't know what was going on.
And I was actually cool with that design, but again, it's like, why are there flames on this truck? Like it just makes they're robots in disguise. I mean, last time I checked, if I saw a flaming semi, it's gonna bring attention. I don't know about you, but there's something
you're gonna turn your head.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, what is that? Who was that crazy? Like I've never seen a flame. I've seen like one. In like maybe 2 in my entire life that actually were like that ornate of a paint job. And yeah, no. So I don't know, man. It's like I want to be optimistic. I really do want to be optimistic about like Mission Impossible. I'm gonna be frank with you. Tom Cruise doesn't really do anything that's bad. It may not be a great movie, but it's going to at least be something solid. Like you could have it could be good. Like even Jack Reacher. Jack Reacher wasn't really great. It was all right, but all right.
We're gonna have that argument next week. I'm gonna save that for next week.
He hasn't done anything bad. I just like me personally. I'm thinking.
No, we're gonna save that for next week.
Okay, all right.
We're gonna save that for next week.
Right. What would be your example? And I'll leave it at
Oblivion.
Okay.
Vanilla Sky.
I like Oblivion. I like Vanilla Sky actually. I like Oblivion. I like Vanilla Sky.
Okay.
So I'm sorry. Like
Night and Day.
Okay, I can. That was okay. It was an okay movie, at best.
Okay, so we're going to wrap the show up. There's a lot of movies getting ready to be crammed here in the month of August, it looks like. So stay tuned. We got a lot of shows coming up to you. It looks like we might have 4 shows in a month. Actually, no, I take that back. There's 5 Sundays in August. So it looks like we're going to have 5 shows for you in the month of August. And matter of fact, I just want to point out that July and August both are going to have 5 weekends in them. The next time this is going to happen, you probably won't be alive. So appreciate that, people. Sorry I told you on the last weekend of July. Sorry about that. So we're doing our outros now. So I just first want to give a big shout out to my friend Jimbo. He launched his electronics store. So people check him out on Facebook. You can find it by searching Jimbo Electronics. That's Jimbo Electronics. Check him out. He's a cool guy. He does installs. He sells electronics. Go check him out. Richard, tell people how they can find you.
Gplus.2/Optimus124, Facebook.com/Optimus124. Same thing for Twitter, same handle. So it's all good.
All right. So my handle is the Mind of Cube. I've got that spread across the Google, the Twitter. Not on Facebook yet. You can find me by my legal name. If you're smart enough, you see it right down there. Just imagine what could be my legal name. Just imagine. And that's how you find me on the Facebook. All right, people. As always, I do appreciate y'all for watching. Stay tuned for next week's show, Ghost Protocol, Intent to Leave Southpaw. As always, stay classy.
All right.